Dudley Do-Right, our stalwart hero, wasn't just an expert in upholding the law, he was also a whiz at DevOps. You see, Horse, DevOps is all about bringing development and operations teams together.
Picture this: Dudley in his office, surrounded by blinking servers, glowing monitors, and enough gadgets to make Inspector Gadget jealous.
It's about automation, collaboration, and making sure software runs smoothly. With version control, we can track every change to our code, and continuous integration helps us catch errors early on.
Dudley pressed a button that accidentally launched a rubber chicken across the room. Horse, meanwhile, was more interested in the rubber chicken. It bounced off a monitor displaying lines of code. Dudley wrestled with a tangle of cables that seemed to have a life of their own, tugging on the wrong cable, causing the lights to flicker and his computer screen to display a message that read, "Error 42. You've angered the internet gods." As if on cue, a nearby server started beeping angrily, smoke curling from its vents. Horse just sighed. He knew this was going to be a long day. Meanwhile, in the secret lair, the nefarious duo of Boris Badenov and Natasha Fatal were up to no good.
Soon, the entire digital world will be at our mercy.
Boris declared, his thick accent dripping with malice as he slammed his fist on the keyboard, accidentally deleting several lines of code.
Boris, are you sure this plan will work? Your code looks like it was written by a room full of monkeys with typewriters.
Natasha, glamorous as ever, stirred a bubbling beaker of green liquid, while Boris, hunched over a computer, cackled with glee. Boris wasn't exactly known for his technical prowess.
Don't underestimate the power of my buggy software, Natasha. With this, we'll unleash chaos upon the internet, disrupt vital systems, and steal all the data.
Natasha wasn't entirely convinced, but decided to humor him. After all, what could go wrong? Quite a lot, as it turned out. Back at Dudley's office, an alarm blared. Dudley sprang to his feet, knocking over a potted cactus in the process.
Horse, it's Boris and Natasha. They're attacking the software systems of the Western world.
Horse, startled by the sudden commotion, dropped his rubber chicken.
Those fiends, they've introduced a nasty bug into the system. Time to use my secret weapon, Git!
Dudley pulled out a glowing remote control from his pocket, pressing a button with a flourish. Suddenly, Dudley and Horse were enveloped in a swirling vortex of ones and zeros. They landed with a thump in what looked like an ethereal library, filled with glowing bookshelves that stretched as far as the eye could see.
Where are we, Dudley? This, my equine friend, is the Git repository. Here we can travel through the history of our code. Each book represents a different version of our software.
Dudley explained, adjusting his hat and pointing to the bookshelves. As the train sped along, they passed through a series of checkpoints, each representing a different stage in the testing process. At one station, robotic arms poked and prodded at lines of code, searching for any lingering bugs. At another, virtual users interacted with a simulated version of the software, ensuring everything worked as intended.
See, Horse, automated testing. It's like having an army of digital detectives working tirelessly to find any flaws in our code.
Horse, who was starting to feel a bit green around the gills from the high-speed journey, simply nodded weakly. Finally, the train screeched to a halt at the last station deployment. Dudley pressed another button on his remote, and the fixed code was launched into cyberspace with the triumphant fanfare of 1,000 trumpets.
Take that, Boris and Natasha. Your buggy code stands no chance against the power of DevOps.
Back in their lair, Boris and Natasha watched in dismay as their evil plan unraveled.
Curse you, Dudley Do-Right! I'll get you next time!
Undeterred, Natasha decided to take matters into her own hands.
Boris, I think it's time we unleash the Chaos Kraken.
Before Boris could even ask what a Chaos Kraken was, Natasha had unleashed a torrent of malicious code designed to overwhelm Dudley's systems. Dudley, however, was ready.
Horse, it's time to deploy the containers.
Suddenly, the screen was filled with dozens of neatly organized boxes, each containing a different part of their software.
These containers allow us to isolate and manage different components of our application, making it more resilient and scalable.
He then unleashed his secret weapon, Kubernetes.